Atlanta, thank you guys for being here, for doing this again. Thank my brother here, Marcus, for being a moderator. Sister Annie, and my little niece here, Deborah, for being a moderator again. I hijacked her from outside, but she knew about it. So, we'll do that, and then as customary with what we kind of always do is we ask one of our elders here to speak our language a little bit, offer them some nitnama to say a little bit in our prayer, in our language. I don't know if there's Ronco, if there's anything you want to say? This is a collaboration between Ronco's group, the mini college camp and high school, obviously. So I'm hoping we have a good little forum here and get some good quality answers to some questions. So whenever you're ready, Ronco.
I was given tobacco to speak tonight, and very honored to be here to do the prayer for the candidates forum for future leaders of our tribe. And I want to ask the Creator for help strengthen life for everyone, and that we have a good election and everything good comes from that. Menominee, then we Makanak, we shake Mahoney Wilk, the Osahituok. Tapanayum, let them all, I show pay and all me all. Now, how am not in the moment? Itamokayum, Mamma Nitch Match Dog. Mamma catch you away and shake the. Can I? Iyo Monica ako kikakaman. Keskimako yos mamachita kihi na hote. Kata mamiltsaman spas milk on the mon. Mao puchet kanan ko sa safia. Takano kwes na pa no cage metiko. Iwishin ni ao excesos. Mesias mano pamatstia. Umana maneo pushita. Anyway, Marknak, he must stop chasing it to up. He is so big. Manachian is your pale Menominee. Kitchkiuk the ten way Marknak, he must stop chasing it to up. Kanapa mea, Michigan enemy, is your pale. Kaya Menominee, Bishita Shope, Machitawak, the say when in it. Shita Menominee. On top of now, and Army Howen, Menominee, Mishita, Machitawak, no way she could sure, the say when in it. Kenapa meyam syekta saya mama cita umana menel saya shopping natin wim saya mau kono no umas no kenapa meyam syekta saya umana menel syekta natin wim maknak ia must chase na to. May show him shit Manikamana. So, yaw at kumuki kono no, Mishiko Kitchen Zazos, Shikokum, Umasamasano, anyway, Maknakane. Yo.
Okay, case, wait the one, parchment. Great corn and wheat one. Kan natatnan machito wiswan totan wasa awe kasitna in its weekend the matamosin glory corn in it as we see it new Nijiana Tana walk in it as we see to walk. Ikesishim, Kakino, Motiwi, Comic, Mamache, Tau, Kakino, Motiwi, Comic, Nis Kasitna, Kun, Shianan, Mamache, Match, Kakino, Motiwi, Comic, Kasini, Kakino, Motiwi, Comic, and Kasino, King, Pots, Cold, Chikena, Case, and Alkeem, Tata, the Cone, Coquel, the Cone, the Case, and Alkeem, Menominee, Kiki, Twan, now Kamako, Sakal, Kiska, Satya, Namak, and Okeem, Menominee, Kakino, Mochi, Kamako.
Oh, did you want to translate?
I just said, also, thank everybody that was here tonight. I introduced myself, my name. I didn't have a Indian name. My clan, there. Sheena is where I live. Introduced my wife, my kids. A little bit about my history after work, after school. I went to school here in Sheena, NYSD. After school I didn't go to college. I went to work at the sawmill for 10 years. After our last year, I worked at the Menominee Language Building, and I worked there for 6 months. And right now I work at travel school.
Yeah, 3 minutes, whatever you want.
That's
Also, music, and that's about as much as I really know. I know some other words, and I understand Menominee, but I thought about this a while. I had a chance, I asked my daughter-in-law about learning Menominee, but I'm not going to change now. I'm an old dog. I haven't really had a desire to learn a lot of Menominee, so I'm not going to do that just to get votes. I respect everyone here that knows Menominee. That's what makes our tribe. I do, like I said, I do know some Menominee, but I'm not going to do that now. So.
Well, you're 3 minutes if there's anything else you want to say or whatever.
Okay, just the one phrase I use most, especially to my relatives, Kankakwasunyan.
What are you trying to say? Me no money? Alright, now, nature man no manewa. Natani way marking mushik mawani wheel. Ron corn, and it akaya mamache tau. Nisuan. We told them a wasa always. Known that Bill Corn, Cannon, always. Mashik, Nakia, Joyce, Greeno, Corn, always. Cannon. What was I saying? made that mistake there. Red Wing, Initske Wakian, Waiwan in case no Tawiak. And I guess what I said is greetings to my fellow Menominee people here, my relatives, everybody else gathered here. My English name, my Menominee name, Nipue Wasa, Standing Bear, Mitotam Wasa, Bear Clan. My dad, Bill, Corn, catnip passed on in the 90s. My mom, Joyce Greeno, Corn, catnip, she passed on in the 90s also. And I live in Red Wing Way. I've been out there for quite a while. But my family, they all have their names too, and so my wife, Inama Kiyuki, Underwoman, my son, Shopwit, Clear Sky, Moasa, Little Wolf, Nipinyanawit Kiyuki, Summer Cloud Woman. My grandchildren, they got their Indian names too, but I gotta apologize, I can't remember all of them, but that one boy, I gave him his Indian name, Wapapane, he's a white eagle. Why went it?
Thank you, Ron. Also, Menominee Wiyak, Niwaswan, Shannon Wilbur, Mashik Kaneaku, Inet Akayan, Mamama, Mama Chaketa, Niwaswan, Natotam, Inamakiwak Awa, Nona, Matthew Paulus Awa, Mashik Nakaya, Eleanor Laurent Paulus Awa, Kisigni Annette Skawikian. I just want to add just a few more words after I talk about what I had just said. Greetings, everybody. My name is Shannon Wilbur. My Indian name is Kaneaku, and they call me Golden Eagle Woman. My clan is the Thunderers. My father's name is Matthew Paulus, and my mother's name is Eleanor Laurent Paulus, and I live here in Keshena. I just want to say Wawanan to all the young people and to the language and culture trainees for giving me this opportunity to learn more of my language. I know just the basics. I try to use them in everyday language. Just listening to how old Bill Panass used to say words and listening to some of his recordings, trying to stick with some of those teachings. And it's really difficult for me. We didn't grow up learning Menominee language. My mother was taken out of her home and taken to the boarding school. And language wasn't important for my father. He's of the Oneida side of my family. So with my mom, it was really hard because her growing up in a boarding school and basically shunned and disciplined for using her language. So it was really not important for her to teach us. It was really more of a fear for her to teach us and to teach us how to speak our language. I know that it's important for us today. Our language and culture is a big part of our history, and part of my purpose and support of the language and culture is always going to be at the top of my list. So with that, Wawanan Case Notawiak. And thank you for listening to me. That's all.
Also, Menominee Wiyak, Derdo Bush, Nuiswan, Mashik Stawit, and Akayan, Namachikal, Nuiswan, Natotem, Awasa, Awe, Notnet, Forest Okamash, Awe, Mashik Nakia, Rene Okamash, Awe, Kashina, and its Duakian, Otapana, Nami Hawan, Ayom Yost, Nawesakasan, Amos Mashik Natanoi Makanat Ayom, Natamoya, Wawanan Case Notawiak, and it. So basically, it was just the same as everyone, or quite a few. It was greetings, Jared Okamash is my name. I don't have a Menominee name, but I have an Arikara name. The other tribe that I'm from, Shtawik, means I'm second in line, but known as a protector of my family and people, or he who flies over and watches over his family and people. I'm of Bear Clan. My dad's name is Forrest Okamash. My mother's name is Renee Okamash. Kashina's where I live. Crow Settlement's where I originated at. I want to offer prayers to those that are sick and all our relatives that need help. And thank y'all for listening. That was it. I also want to give thanks to MLCC and NACWA for helping out with this. It was fun, you know, to be able to put this together. And actually, anytime you speak, you should be doing an introduction, introducing your parents, introducing where you're from. So I was very proud to just learn this a little bit because my language is limited. I use what I can with my daughters who are sitting next to me. They hear it in Menominee and they know what it is, they listen, and I hope that out of the 3 daughters I have, I can have a fluent speaker someday in the near future, real near future, hopefully. So, what am I mean?
If we want to maintain our sovereignty, why do we continue to seek funds from the federal government, which in turn continues to let them govern the programs that are supposed to be designated to our tribe of people? So, in a way, in order to have our sovereignty, you know, we have to be self-sufficient, self-determined, but at the same time, we're still seeking funds from the feds. So how do we go about becoming self-sufficient, self-determined, while at the same time we're still taking money from the government?
Anybody want to start?
I got the mic, so I got the mic so I can start. Why do we take grant money from the federal government? I think currently at the time our tribe is not in a financial state to govern ourselves. I mean, not govern ourselves, but to have the financial means to run all the programs that we need as a tribe. So I think it's a way of supplementing our income and working with several grants, which I do, you know, working with the police department in my past and looking forward to working with grants with the jail. I think it's a way that we can get the programs that we need as a community to further ourselves. We write the grants as a tribe. They come from the tribe. The grants are written on what we want to do with them, not what the federal government is telling us to do with them. So we write in there and then we apply for these grants, and if they don't agree with our plan that we have set forth in the grants, those grants won't be approved. Sometime in the near future, or hopefully in the near future, we have the financial means to back all our programs. But right now there are very few programs that run within the tribe that aren't funded by some or supplemented by some federal, state, or BIA monies. So I think as long as we are responsible with what we write in the grants and what our objective is in the grants, I don't see, because businesses run nationwide grants. Tribes aren't the only people that take grants. You know, there's so many different individuals and companies that also utilize grants. So I think as long as we're responsible, I don't think we really give any of our sovereignty or authority away by utilizing these monies that are allotted to us to give our people the services that they need. So, thank you.
Same question? Okay. I think there's a couple things that I can answer to that question or provide some information, and it's important for all of us to know some of these things. That some of the grant dollars that are available from the federal government, they're part of our treaty rights. It's funding that they have to provide to us in some way or form. And by us applying for that, it's basically what Jarrett had said. We have to have a plan of how we're going to develop programs. We have to have a plan for how we're going to implement the funds. And then we have to have a plan for how we're going to evaluate those funds. So with that, there's something that I just really want to add, and what's really important here is that we're fortunate to be able to apply for some of those funds. Historically, if you think about it, in mainstream society or in the non-Indian society, a lot of the counties, they've had 20, 30 years of available funding and opportunities to apply for all of that funding. It would be, you know, they're leveling the playing field. Yes, some things are changing, but there's still some things that are holding our Native people back, which are a couple things that I would like to advocate for, and I have been advocating ever since I worked in the Aging Network, is that with counties being eligible to apply for all of these fundings for 20, 30 years before we were even able to apply, they've had several opportunities to make their mistakes. They've had several opportunities to develop their programs. We only get 1 year of planning, 1 year of implementing, and 1 year of evaluating, which means based on that, then we have to come up with an evaluation plan that's going to provide us with more money to be able to continue those projects. So what I've always advocated for is that level that playing field even more, because we need to have access and opportunities to more of those grant dollars, just like the non-Indian people did. Yeah, we have those pots of monies that are part of our treaty rights, but we still need to have the opportunity to apply for all of the funds and be able to make our own mistakes and be able to develop programs that meet the needs of our people. And if there's something that I can do, you know, you know, you talked about giving up some of our tribal sovereignty and to become self-sufficient. You have to be very careful when you say that word self-sufficient. The Menominee people, as a group, we're never self-sufficient. We have elders in our community that will say, we can never be self-sufficient because we're all a family. We all depend on one another, and it's always going to be like that. That's how come we're a Menominee people and we're so strong with our language and culture.
Tough question. I guess when I think about it, and this is what I think is, you know, to aggressively go after government funding, public funding. To me, that is an exercise of our sovereignty. You know, we're choosing to do what we need to do as Menominee people to make things better in our communities and for our families. And so the way I see it is that you know, to actively seek alternative sources of funding beyond our own is I mean, the true meaning of sovereignty, because we decide that is what we're going to do. And to me, that's what sovereignty means. It means the power that we have to do what we need to do to make things better for our people. And so that's what I think about that, you know. And I know, because I worked in local government for quite a spell, that we depend on that county, you know, to take care of a number of programs that would actually be eligible to our tribe. And so we've let them, you know, kind of more or less govern a lot of things. But the one that kind of upsets me the most is our juveniles. We're not getting no return on our investment there. You know, our juvenile issues, I'll call them. You know, they don't seem to be getting any better under this model. And so, as one of your leaders, if I guess I become one of your leaders, that's one of the things that I think that we need to do, is that we need to aggressively seek those funds and put them into our programs and put people in place who we know are going to make a difference in the lives of these children. Because like I've said, and I said this for a long time, that what's been going on hasn't worked for us. But every time that it comes up, at least in my memory, is we can't afford it. And so it becomes a matter of funding when we can't afford not to do it, when it's a matter of strengthening who we are as Menominee people. You know, so I say these things, you know, and I want you to understand that those are the things that I'll fight for. And sovereignty, that's what it is. It means you have the power to do what you need to do. And if it's actively seeking $638 county or state dollars, then we should decide to do that as long as it's in our best interest. Thanks.
Well, first of all, sovereignty, we're not a sovereign tribe, we're a quasi-sovereign tribe. We have a lot of rule over ourselves, but we still have to follow the U.S. government. And you're right about the money. That's the string that they hold. So, there is an act, I think it was 1994, somewhere around there, Self-Determination Act. And that was supposed to give us a lot more leeway, a lot more sovereignty to rule over ourselves. Are we following that as a tribe? Sometimes I think not. We don't fully address that issue of sovereignty. If we want to have full sovereignty, we would have to secede from the U.S. government and claim ourselves as a sovereign tribe, which would then, and I don't see any other way, but we would be an enemy of the U.S. government. We all know that. If you don't follow the U.S. government, you're their enemy. But I wish that could be true. We have the resources, the natural resources, to live here in a sovereign state. How much we could do that, I don't know. But as long as we want that money, or we need that money, we need the roads, the highways for our cars, the clinic for our health, the housing for a place to live, we have to abide by certain rules. That's those strings that come attached to that money. And I think if we want to maximize that sovereignty, we have to look closer at when we write those bills, when we ask for appropriation of that money. And I think we can do that, but we have to do it cooperatively as a tribe, as a government, our own government, as input from our own tribal members. I'd like to see that we utilize that to the utmost. Thank you.
Can you ask the question again?
So, if we want to maintain our sovereignty, why do we go to the federal government to ask for funds when we could try a more different route to become more self-tribe?
I think like a lot of these ladies and gentlemen said, money comes down to money. Our casino transfers over to the tribe roughly about $7 million a year on a good year. Our tribal government to function it, to run it as we are now, it takes about $40–50 million. That's what funnels through our tribe a year. So with that, I mean, even that amount of money, and we're still not where we need to be, where we want to be. You know, this year we looked at this budget finance chair, we looked at why our budgets were coming in so big every year. We had $3.3 million difference from from last year. And our programs and our departments grew 4% in the last 5 years. So, I mean, we're getting bigger as a tribe. We don't have the funds to provide any kind of services that we need, so that's where we're kind of stuck. I think one of the things that we could do, Menominee is in a unique situation. When we were terminated, there was a trusted management agreement that was supposed to be temporarily put in place when we were restored. We've operated on that since then, and I think some of those past legislators, we know that Menominee has the ability to go to Congress and get an appropriation, just like the Department of Defense, any of these big federal programs that get money. Menominee has that ability to do that. We just never have. So I think that's one of the cards we could play and be more. I think that's a big plus for sovereignty, to be able to go and negotiate with Congress every year for an appropriation, not a 638 contract, not one of these, grants, anything like that. So it's something we've never explored, but we do have that option. And I think that will help our sovereignty. But to answer your question, we're just growing as a tribe. The casinos and the other revenue generators for the tribe aren't doing what they can.
So we just had one of our legislative candidates just come in.
Is it on? Well, good evening, everybody. I don't know how I feel about it, but personally, I'm just going to introduce myself as Mary Sullivan Menor, and I'm a tribal member interested in many issues that our tribe has to deal with. Personally, it was kind of hard for me because throughout my life, I've always felt and was taught that politics, culture, and religion and everything is not supposed to mix. So I'm just going to leave it to my English. Because of that, that's just how I feel about it. So here we go, we can move on.
So, Marcus asked a question, and to give you an opportunity to answer that question as well. Everybody else already did, so Marcus, if you want to.
Yeah, if we want to maintain our sovereignty, why do we continue to seek federal government funding when we could go a more different route that would lead us to self-determination?
Well, personally, my living as a Menominee on the reservation here, I don't think that I look at federal grants as we are seeking them out, for the simple fact that we are the landlords of this place, and when the Trust Responsibility Act was enacted, that was because they took our land. There's a health, education, welfare, so I never really looked at it as we were seeking grants. I more or less looked at it as what they owe us, because they took our land and our rights and everything here. They say we're sovereign, but technically we're really not sovereign. For every government road we have, there's a guideline for it. We've lost a lot of our lands just through accepting money. So I understand that there's a way that we could, if we was to ever think of lowering the quantum, that we would do block grant. And then you utilize the monies that come in only for those that are quarter blood, but you can spread it out to however you want to use it. I don't know if that's been even thought about, but I never really looked at it as we were seeking money or begging. It was more my thinking that they owed us this. So that's kind of how I felt about it.
So I guess we can just jump probably right into our second question. Annie's got our second question all ready to go. And I guess anybody that wants to go first, you can just raise your hand. I don't think we really necessarily have to go in line. Whatever you guys want to do. Annie?
So the question is, are we doing enough for the well-being of our children? What kind of programs would you like to see implemented to help our youth?
Well, I guess I'm going to jump right in here when I'm pulling the mic. I see a lot that we are doing for the kids. And I think we need a lot of parent involvement. It's really hard to try and get the kids to follow the rules and do everything when the parents, there's some parents, I'm not saying all parents, but there's just a few of them that make it bad for the kids. I know we have this bag-ish problem around here, and it really amazes me the people that are involved in that do that, that utilize it, and they kind of protect the sale of it. It really it's irritating to see, but I think a lot of the influence that we do for our kids has a lot of play in what they make them out to be. Because it takes the parents, it takes the community to raise children, not just one parent, two parent. It needs a lot of involvement, aunts, uncles, everybody. So I think if we all pitched in and did even a little bit role modeling for the kids, that helps them. If you can just be there for them, then in later in life they will be there for someone else. I guess, thank you.
Okay, I'll jump right in too. You know, our greatest asset is our children. How we raise them, how families raise them, how communities raise them. It's very important. My fellow Menominee Ron here is director of the Boys and Girls Club. Does a great job. I really commend what he's done, how he's brought that club around. That's teaching our kids. We need more of those type of institutions, if not Boys and Girls Club, some kind of activity. Not everything is baseball. I hear that. Oh, we have another baseball field. It's not all kids play baseball. Not all kids play basketball. But I like these family situations. I think we need to promote that more. Put some of our money in those endeavors. We have a lot of needs around here, but we wouldn't have as many needs if we took care of our children and our family. So that's the focus we need to have. What can we do? We need to somehow promote those family values, those family get-togethers. You have the roundhouse. That's great. I think that's one of those values we need to promote. We have the culture camp, another one. We need to promote those. We need to make money available for those type of activities instead of where we're going to jail our next person, where are we going to house our next villain. We need to promote, and we need to do it with our younger people. And that's my idea of helping our community with our children promote the family values.
Hi, thanks, Gene. I think there's quite a few programs that are available to kids. Working at the school, you're fortunate enough to see, a lot of what the kids are involved in, and kind of hear about what they do, whether it's Boys and Girls Club, sports, family get-togethers. think the ultimate, what I think would ultimately help our children is the language. I really do believe that. When I was in the immersion program, we came to the casino over there, and they were talking about the 7 grandfather teachings. And they were promoting them, which, you know, I think is good. But the language, is just a brief time that I was around the language, I think that the language can teach all of that. It can teach love. It can teach respect. It can teach courage. The language has the ability to do that. And that's a gift that we have. And if we could just give it to our kids and make them proud of that language, that's what I was trying to teach kids, to be proud of that language, love it. You know, you're unique, you're special. And I think if we could do that, I think those return on your investments, you'd see the return on your investments. And you'd see a better community, and I think you'd see a community that really be able to heal. So the language, I think the language can.
And I guess I'd have to start by saying that I agree what everybody's talking about here. Are we doing enough? I hope we never come to that point where in time we think we're doing enough for our kids. I think we have to strive not only, you know, to prepare them, you know, for life, but also to provide good things for them, you know. So, I mean, if we're truly wanting to be Menominee people, you know, that's kind of what our responsibility is, you know, to clear that path for our kids so that they can find, you know, some goodness in this life that we have, you know. And so, how do we do that? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of us out there doing youth programming, and I appreciate kind words from Jean. I mean, we strive, you know. You can't sit back, wait for kids to come to you in your programs. You got to get out there and engage them, you know. And you can't sit around and wait for parents to want to volunteer. You know, you need to step forward, and I hate to say be their parents or whatever, but at least be there for them, you know. And they say that usually all it needs or takes is one caring adult. One caring adult can make a difference in a child's life, you know. And so I'm telling all of you that because that's what I want you to do, not only with your own children, but reach out, you know, and help, because there's children in need out there. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, talking about that, and then one of the things I think about is education, you know, and that there ain't no secret, you know, our school system, or our public school system anyway, isn't cutting the mustard, you know. And I'm not saying that in any negative way. They're trying hard, you know, but if they're not standing the test, then what do we do? You know, we can't condone them to continue to not make the mark when we want them, or they want our children to make the mark. So, I mean, there's some accountability that needs to happen. And so, yeah, I mean, getting in there and doing what needs to be done.
I think that pounding on the table was this.
You got 3 seconds.
So I'll just restate the question again. So, are we doing enough for the well-being of our children? And what kind of programs would you like to see implemented?
I think we have a lot going on in our communities, and we have a lot of good things going for us with the development and the economic development that we do have going on, gaming, and with the expansion of our housing. That brought a lot of people here from the larger cities. a lot of people. So what does that mean? It brought a lot of big city thinking. So not only is our language and culture important, but we need to be able to grab the people that came from the larger cities and to help them feel welcomed. We have some of our people, they don't look like me, they don't look like you. Some of them are different colors, but they're still on our rolls. And it's because of that where some of them don't feel like they belong. And if we can start by incorporating them and welcoming them in and sharing some of our language and culture that we have here, stuff that they haven't even been born into, born and raised in Chicago or Milwaukee, parents get a divorce and all of a sudden our tribal member feels she's got to come home and get some support from all of us here. We have to try to pick up the slack and help people. There's some of our babies are hungry. What can we do to improve our meal programs? WIC's out there, but our families need more than that. Some of our children are starving. Some of our people are homeless. I would like to think that we would look at some of the programs that we have now and how can we strengthen them. I liked the comment that was made earlier where, you know, it takes community to raise a child, and it also takes a really good role model to be a role model for somebody else's children. It's going to take all of us to be able to lift everybody up. We can't leave anybody behind. That's where I see that there's a lot of people being left behind. People are hungry, people are homeless, they can't even get into housing because of one bad mark that they have on their record. Okay, if that's the case, then let's create a space just for people where they do have a bad mark. But we need to create them a safe space as well. It's not going to be just somewhere where people with something on their record get tossed over to this one area. They just need a place where they can call their own home.
Well, tough place to be, last person. Are we doing enough for our kids? We're never going to be doing enough for our kids. I mean, the kids to us have to be what we look forward to, where I think a lot of our programming, a lot of our funding should be directed is towards our youth. I know it went around not too long ago about the family center that we were trying to develop here on the reservation. I think that would be a huge thing to have here, to be able the kids to go somewhere with other rooms attached to it where you could do family programming, get the families doing things together in one centralized area. It'd be a place where you could have meetings, but just get the community together. The community's too spread out sometimes, you know, there's something going on here and something. It'd be really nice to see everybody together. Also, culture camp, being involved in culture camp for the last 2-3 years, I think that's huge. I just for the first time this year got to camp, the whole camp with the kids and seeing how they grow. And I give so many thank yous to the people who started this, kept the culture camp going all these years. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch the kids bond. It's amazing to see them seek the love from the other kids and open up to each other. When you bring them together in a situation like that, I think it's huge for our youth to be able to tell that there's other Menominee kids out there. Because a lot of times as a troubled youth, you think you're the only one. You know, it's just me. I'm the one who has something wrong with me. Well, when they see that everybody has those similar problems, that they can talk through those problems with each other, I think that's really big on letting them finally grow, letting them grow as a child. I would love to see culture camp being year-round, you know, having something for every season, go back to where people came from, do spring camps, summer camps, fall camps, winter camps, teach them what our people would have been doing at these times. I think that would be really, really big for our kids. Also, MLCC, I want to get big match. I went into MLCC. I think the immersion school, if we could develop an immersion school, I think funding needs to be sought after or put there as a priority and teach our kids the language and culture again, because that's where I think our people got lost. Shannon talked earlier about boarding school, what happened, how the language was taken away. I think that's how they took a lot of our Menominee pride away. So, are we doing enough for our youth? Never. Thank you.
With Deborah Lyons, question? She said she's scared.
Never.
What are the main problems that we as a tribe face today, and what would you do to tackle these issues?
Anybody want to start? Shannon?
Is this thing on? Well, I think with the larger election that occurred and with President Trump elect coming in, we have a lot of barriers that are going to be placed in front of us. So I think it's going to be equally important that we continue to monitor a lot of our treaty rights and make sure that the federal government upholds a lot of the rights that we have or that are inherently ours and that have been in place for many years. We also have coming down locally, we do have a number of issues that we need to band together and to try to defeat. And one of them is the problem that Ms. Mary brought up earlier. That's going to take a community to come together. And Deborah, you were instrumental with putting together some really good walks and bringing that awareness. We need those sorts of things to keep going. We need to band together as a people to let our community know that that sort of behavior will not be tolerated. And that's one of the ways that I feel that we are going to overcome those sorts of issues, is if we continue to be good role models and let people know that to get anywhere in this community and to accomplish anything, it's going to take a great deal of hard work. And even though things may not be looking so well for a person on one day, that there's going to be several hurdles placed in front of you with your efforts to attain an education, to attain that language and culture certification, to be able to get out there and teach everybody else the language. There's so many barriers, and there's going to be so many hard times that we all encounter and that we face, and we need to come together as a community to be able to combat some of those issues.
I hate to say this, but can you read the question again?
I was going to say that. What are the main problems that we as a tribe face today, and what would you do to tackle these issues?
Yeah, thinking about it, and having the opportunity to read some studies and stuff, I really think it's this identity and pride and those types of things that I think are the main issue that we need to get our minds around to address, because I guess if I think about anything, I think if we can get our language revitalization going, you know, we can get some of our culture and traditions going. They talked about having seasonal camps and some of those things that we do around those seasons, but the way I see it is that builds that resiliency in our children that they need. When I talk about resiliency, I talk about the negative behavior, you know, so that they're able to make good choices in their life, not get caught up in AODA type issues and gang type issues and those types of things. So, yeah, I really think, you know, if we're going to, I don't know, I hate to use the word fix, because that's probably not something that may not ever happen, but at least to make some progress is to bring our identity back as Menominee people. Oh, no.
Some of the main problems that we face, drugs and alcohol, homelessness, and a sense of community I'm not sure that we're fully aware, or that everyone is fully aware of who we are. We're the Menominee Nation. The Menominee Nation is a community. We're a tribe, as they call it. What we do is, we are on the track for some of these, but are we fully engaged as we should be? I tend to think not. Sometimes we're trying to stop the bleeding through the courts and the jails and the AODA assessments and the other type of after the problem exists, fixes instead of before the problem. That's the main thing that we're facing. We put, one time we put $250,000 towards Manassakia to try and cure people. And how much of that did we put towards prevention, early prevention? It should have been the other way around. And that kind of distresses me that we look at things in the wrong light, as I see it. We need that prevention first. We need that community involvement. So youth programs, I think youth is the key. Thank you.
My turn, eh? What are the problems that we face as a tribe, and what would we do to tackle that issue? There's a lot of things that our tribe faces. You know, like you heard before, the ish, the back 40 mine, alcohol and drugs, identity. This current Trump administration, the Supreme Court's going to be huge. That's going to have an effect on our sovereignty in some way, shape, or form. Our language. You know, I think there's a lot of people in our community championing a lot of different efforts, whether it's their kids, their language, the back 40 mine, alcohol and drugs. We need to find the resources to support the people that are doing these initiatives. I think they're all good things. I think that they can all help our kids, our greatest asset, our kids. That's who's gonna ultimately move us forward and heal us. So how do we get there? We support them. You know, we're a resilient people who've been here before. We're going to be here long. We're going to be here for a long time. The ish problem, you know, there's a tribal action plan that's going to be coming out. I hired a consultant to do that. You see the indictments that are coming down, so actions are being taken in the community. So I guess to just support them in any way you can and make them a priority. Make them a priority. A lot of these programs, a lot of these initiatives aren't priorities. You know, I see them, I hear them, I know they're all good, and, you know, re-elected. I've supported a lot of these initiatives in the past, and I'll continue to support them. I'll do whatever I can as chairman of Budget and Finance, chairman of ERP, member of WRDC, whatever I can to make these initiatives be more successful.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What are the main problems that we as a tribe face today, and what would you do to tackle these issues?
Okay, well, I feel one of the main issues in our tribe is poverty. We're the poorest county in Wisconsin. That needs to change. We used to be one of the richest tribes. And I think one of the things that I would be working towards is helping to change the Constitution and bylaws so that it suits our people, that it works for them. Because right now it's not working for them. And like I stated in the past, I'm a person that can say that my constitutional right has been denied. I was told there was a timeline on that. And in my eyes, my constitutional right doesn't stop until I'm in the ground. So I'd like to see that the Constitution and bylaws works for the people, that they get their rights. I'll be working towards the sovereignty, ensuring it, our rights. I don't feel we've lost it. I just feel we need to protect it more. Sovereignty, it's not just a word or a phrase. It has to be a way of life. It's something that has been instilled upon us from the time we first started here, because we don't live in Wisconsin. Wisconsin resides on Menominee territory, and we need to protect that. I uphold the Just Responsibility Act, where the government is responsible for things. I don't look at it as we need to ask them, beg them. I was in a diabetes conference not too long ago, and they were told, should be thankful we have this, should be thankful we have that. Oh, we need to be grateful for this. In my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, that's part of the health, education, and welfare that they owe us. So I don't know, there's a lot of things with the people, they don't understand non-280 status, what indigenous means, and we need to protect those rights, because there's probably, I think there's maybe 75 tribes in the whole United States that are classified under non-280. And that's a real big important situation, I think, because that gives us opportunity to really protect our rights. There are tribes in Wisconsin that have to adhere to that. And that's, if it comes to gaming, shutting it down, we don't have to comply with the state rules. Anything within our boundaries are supposed to be within our boundaries, and that's what we need to protect. So I would be working towards the protecting of the rights, not only for our people, but our land, all our resources. I'd like to see more agricultural done, but thank you.
Can you repeat that? No, I'm just kidding. One more time. Everyone mentioned some of the things, and I agree with just about every one of them, but I see housing and employment as being two big issues that our people face. I think we could look at making some tribally owned and operated apartments somewhere on the reservation where people would have a place to go. We don't necessarily need to make a huge profit off this as a tribe, but just give our people affordable housing that they can have. I think we could venture into some small business ventures to look at employing our people, or maybe making some buildings where our people could open their own businesses that are affordable. The current one that's open over next to Subway, it would be very hard for a tribal member to open a small business and afford just the overhead and rent on there. Those are two big things that I see. Another thing that I see is allowing Menominee County Social Services to oversee our children. I think the tribe needs to step back in and take that over. Our kids are being governed and controlled by laws that were written for the state kids that don't pertain to us. They don't see our culture and our values. I think that's a huge issue, and I know that's started in the works, but I think funding needs to be directed towards that so we can do something that's culturally appropriate for our children. You know, I see that as one of the bigger issues. The ish problem, I said it the last time. That's a nickname, I don't agree with it. It's synthetic marijuana, it's a poison. I think the normalization of that needs to stop. The normalization of everything that's happening with this drug. It's not only the synthetic marijuana, but the over-the-counter, the prescription drugs that are being given to our people as well. Last year it was tramadol until it was scheduled. Now it's gabapentin. I see it coming out all the time. I think there's alternative ways that we can look at dealing with some of the prescriptions, some different types, maybe massage therapy or something along that, pain management to deal with the issues rather than giving our people prescription drugs, because the majority that I talk to that are addicted to them started out with an injury, got on the drugs, and now they can't quit even though the injury is gone. So I think that's hurting our people as well, but I think us banding together as a community is one way we look at dealing with all of these things. Thank you.
So for our last question, before I ask that question, I wanted to just say that our voting is Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday's in Neopet, Thursday in Kashina. And with that kind of thought process of voting is this week, just using your jibs alone, I want... Oh, you're right away, he knows. And I just wanted to thank everybody for being here tonight, and I know it's not easy to get in front of a camera, have people ask you questions and things, and again, I just wanted to say why when. I think it's a great opportunity for our youth, for Deborah to be here, to interact, with the future, with the leaders of the tribe, and her being a future leader, and a leader in this community already, for what she does. So I just wanted to thank you, Deborah, for being here. I appreciate it a lot. My last question, I guess, is a softball question. I'll give it to you guys. And if I'm an undecided voter, why should I vote for you? Go ahead, Jared, you got the mic.
I got the mic. Well, guy, you should vote for me.
Money?
I don't have any of that, no? Pangako Sunyan. I'm always going to be out in front for our people. I have a voice, and I'm not afraid to stand by myself. If it means what I think is in the best interest of all our people. I know I'm only one vote if I get elected with 8 other people, but I would stand out there by myself. I will answer the difficult questions rather than go around those questions as a politician would answer. I'm not a politician. By no means have I ever been a politician. I will answer your questions truthfully. I'm easy to talk to. I'm always available, and I'm always out front for our people. And that's one thing that I'm proud of. Anything accomplished in my life besides my kids and my family. One thing is that I've had the ability to step forward and stand out front for our Menominee people, and I will continue to do that. Like I said, I won't beat around the questions. I'm available to talk to anybody at any time, and I would voice the concerns of the people, and I would bring those forward. I would do what's best or what I feel is best for our people, not sometimes in politics you see kind of what's best for the individual themselves. This doesn't mean, it wouldn't mean that to me. It's a privilege even to be sitting here to think that I'm one of 7, very honorable people that are up here to lay my name out to be voted for. So I take it as a privilege, and I've heard it a lot of times in the past, but I truly would serve our people. So thank you.
Let me see. An undecided voter. I guess the decision that I made to put myself out there and to be part of this selection process was very difficult. There's a lot of things that have occurred in my lifetime, and there's a lot of things that I've lived my life to make right, that I've struggled with. And there's a lot of things that I see our people struggling with, things that I've struggled with, and I feel that I've been able to overcome a lot of the issues that my own people face. I think I can relate to a lot of people, and I've been able to talk with a lot of people, help them through some of the issues that they've been experiencing, and to let them know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Just from over 25 years of sobriety and working through all of those hurdles and hard work and dedication with just self-improvement and being able to put myself out there and ready to help others. I think with a lot of determination, I think as a people we can move ourselves forward. I agree with what Jared had said. I will only be one vote out of 9 people, but they will hear my voice. I won't be afraid to speak up. I feel like I've encountered many things in my lifetime where the loss that I've suffered, it's not going to be worth allowing people to continue to suffer. If there's something that I can do to help our people to move forward, I will do those things. And with just being open and willing to talk with people and helping to meet the needs of our less fortunate community members, I think is what I'm striving to do.
Can you read that question, please? No, just kidding. Using the jibs alone.
What are jibs?
Well, I guess I would say that for an undecided voter, I would be looking for your support for the fact that I would represent you to the best of my ability, always working to protect the rights of the people. I'd be working and striving to make sure that we represent the people, that we put the people's desires and wishes first. Our children are number one. That's the future. We need to take care of them. We have family members that are dealing with a lot of issues that are because of poverty. And I believe that that's the biggest thing we need to take care of, is working towards getting jobs for everybody. There's a limited amount of jobs, so we need to come up with businesses that can hire our people. We have a lot of children that go away to school and come back, and there's not jobs here, but yet that was the first idea of it, was to send them away so they can come back and work for us. But we need to build more jobs economically. I would always be respectful to the people, their wishes, and I work towards turning that Constitution and bylaws to fit the people. I believe it umbrellas the legislature to turn their back on the people, and that's what I want to stop. We need more transparency with the government. I just feel that I went through a situation where I was told by one of the candidates that just got on, there's stuff here that we don't want to get out to the community. But that's not what it's about. You need to get out there and work with the community. They need to know what's going on. I don't like to close doors. I understand it if it's a personnel issue, yeah, but not for other issues. Our people need to know what's going on, and I would work for transparency. I guess that would be about the only way I can ask you to vote for me. Other than just work hard. You got to find a group of people here. Got a lot of potential here. I give everybody a lot of credit standing up for the rights of the people and having the desire to represent us. All of you, you're good candidates. Thank you.
I don't want you
Whether you vote for me or not is your prerogative. I think you look at the candidates and what have they done in the past and what do you think they're going to do in the future. I've been a legislative member previously. I've not only served on the legislature, I worked full-time, but I also found time to volunteer. Boys and Girls Club, Santa's Helpers. There's other things I've done in the community. I didn't just do the job on the legislative seat. I did it in the community. I put myself out there. So that's some character that you need to look at when you look at people and whether you want to vote for them. If you don't vote for me, that's fine. If you do vote for me, thank you. There's a lot of things I've done already on the legislative body. I was chairman at the Menominee Casino business. Back in the 90s, 1999, we were struggling. Our casino was only taking in 6.9 million from a previous 10 million. We had a tremendous drop. While I chaired the committee, what I did was I let those people who knew their job, I let them do their job. I didn't try to override them and dictate to them. I look at people, if they're capable of doing something, I help them. If they're having struggles, I help them. I help find the tools for them to get the job done. We went from 6.9 million to 13 million. We turned that casino around. And it was infrastructure. It was simple things, letting the manager do his job, be the manager. Things like that. That's what I look at as our future. The Save-A-Lot and Subway. When they were talking about Save-A-Lot, I was with the group that went to view the Save-A-Lot store in Green Bay. Should we go with Save-A-Lot? And it was a good presentation, and we thought we should go with it. I was also on the negotiating team for the Thunderbird Club. We got that successful. So my track record is get things done. I'm willing to do that again. Work hard for our Menominee people. Thank you.
Elders first, so just kind of showing a little respect there.
Not too many more years.
I guess if I think about it, I think the first thing that comes to mind is that I care. I care about what's going on here. My family's here, my grandchildren are here. So that makes me invested, and so I want to see good things for them, in their lifetime. Just like how our older ones looked out for us now. I guess it's our turn to we're a little bit old school and times change, and so, we need to meet them where they're at, and try to get them things that are relevant this day and age instead of, what might have been going on years ago. But yeah, I agree with everybody up here, that let's build a better future for our children, you know. And then saying that includes our elders, you know, that includes our moms and our dads, our aunties and uncles, you know. And when we get back to that being community like Gene was talking about, I think then a lot of change can come about. Menominee.
Thank you. We heard a lot of good things from the candidates. Everybody was unique. Everybody brings a different perspective to the table. I respect all candidates for coming on. Why should you vote for me? I'm not afraid to stand by myself. I have stood by myself. We've made tough decisions. You know, you talked about a track record of getting things done. You know, Kenosha, March to Madison. Always tried to put the people, many people first, and represent them the best way that we could. You know, we stood against Walker. You know, I've been on community development, all housing, ERP, WRDC, budget, finance, mining task force, Kenosha gaming, Neopa community, Zor community, Middle Village, labor education training, Milwaukee, Chicago. I've always tried to, whenever I was asked, to try to help the people. And those of you that know me know that I've done that. I've always tried, whether I succeeded or not. I tried, and I care about the Menominee people. I've changed my whole direction in life to help a cause that was presented to me as a legislator. The language, it's dying. So I did everything that I could to try to be one of those fortunate ones that could save it. I try every day. Some days I'm not successful, but I try. And, you know, why should you vote for me? Because I try every single day, man. And I've made a lot of sacrifices in these last 6 years, but are we better? I think in some aspects we are better than when we started. Is there a lot of work to do? Yep, there's no doubt about it. But, you know, so that's why I think you should vote for me.
Thank you guys again for being here. Thank everybody else for being here. You know, Andy for moderating, Marcus for moderating. I guess that's the end of our forum. Good luck, everybody.
So are you voting?